What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Watch Tobin and Leroy weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 560WQAM YouTube page. And let's get into this, man. So this was a weird one. Not exactly the place I was expecting to start my day when it came to Finn's news. And I didn't really get it. I got this, like, one of my, I think I got it on, like, a Bleacher Report notey or something like that, where it was basically saying Mike McDaniel speculated to be on the hot seat. And it's something I would have expected, like, way back yonder early in the season, but I was just surprised to get it now. I haven't exactly liked the reporting from the Four Letter Network today. This is from Dan Graziano, who says, "This is outside speculation from people I'm talking to around the league, rather than anything that definitely will or should happen. But some have their eyes on Miami and wonder if there's a change, if things end badly this season, though Mike McDaniel did sign an extension in August." I just sat back for a second, and I'm just like, what? Like, why is this, and I know that the whole thing, they were like unloaded a bunch of notes. Here's all the things that they have to say. It was weird because it was in context of like a Giants, Jaguars, Raiders back and forth. And then this is just kind of thrown out there by Graziano like a dead fish. And I'm just like, what? I know there was another report later on in the day, and this is no insult. I've never heard of this gentleman who reported it. I think he either works for Bleacher Report or he's anybody's an NFL insider these days. I don't know. Can't keep up with who's with whom. His name was James Palmer, and I guess he was saying that McDaniel is safer than these rumors suggest, which is kind of a weird rumor to begin with. I don't really understand. I think we could all say, like, yeah, first of all, it has the caveat on if it ends badly. And I can't rule out that anybody's going to get fired with the Miami Dolphins if it ends badly. I think that, but if it ends badly, I think is like 1-3 over the last 4 games or 0-4. If something crazy like that happened, yeah, I suppose everything's on the table. I can't rule out the Dolphins, finishing 6-11 or 7-10. Could that piss off Stephen Ross enough to go and make a move? Yeah, perhaps. You can never really account for billionaires and what they'll do. I mean, the man did just sell. You want to talk about, is he going to be hurting from an extension that he has to pay? Like, the dude just sold, 10% of his team for billions? So I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be okay if he decided he wanted to part ways with Mike McDaniel. Here's the thing, though. It would have to be really embarrassing. It would have to look like the Dolphins have no life and get wiped off the floor. And I don't really see that happening, I guess. I don't really see that happening over these next few. Certainly, if they're right up against it. Let's say they win their next 2 and they go to Cleveland and they wilt in the cold again. Could that spark up Stephen Ross? Maybe, maybe that's a thing. Here's the thing, though, that I do think is this is one thing that's in play that everybody has to realize, though. Man, Tua is playing lights out. He has played so good since coming back from the concussion. His numbers are insane. He's trying to chase down completion records. He has played well. You can mock the competition and say, well, he hasn't gotten anything. Fine. Okay. Whatever. I'm not going to quibble about that. But statistically, the guy has been playing lights out. He is the face of the franchise. He's the leader of the franchise, and he loves this head coach. And you can't really say that he's been the issue and he's the biggest reason why everybody got their extensions. Everybody who got paid really had a hand with Tua. Tyreek, Waddle, Tua himself, and Mike McDaniel all kind of surround the Tua ether, of why everybody got those extensions. So they're pot committed with that. Could there be a situation where the Dolphins still evaluate things and how they built this team and bring in a new head of personnel? That to me almost seems more likely, and them actually moving on from Chris Grier or tweaking the role of Chris Grier or bringing in somebody else with Chris Grier or something like that. that almost seems more likely to me than Mike McDaniel getting fired outside of something catastrophic happening. Because they said things had badly. I would say they would have to end catastrophic. That's what I feel like. But it will be an interesting one. This is a fun matchup. I mean, like, you got two coaches who know each other really well in Mike McDaniel and DeMeco Ryans. I think this is a really solid squad Miami's going up against. I think it'll show me something. Even with this being a road atmosphere that is, in a dome, whatever. This is a good team. Good team on the road. The Dolphins are slight dogs. I think that people are buying into the Fins a little bit on the betting sides of things for this upcoming game. It was 2.5 at one point. I think it went back down to 3. Currently, as I do this, it is 3. Dolphins are 3-point underdogs. And typically, the home team gets 3 teams, and they think they're pretty even, Vegas. That's how they're looking at this matchup. I think it'll, if they win this one, definitely puts them in a good place for the rest of the season. You're not going to feel like if they win this one, there's any unwinnable games the rest of the way. I'm sorry, I still can't ignore the worry I have of them going to a cold atmosphere in Cleveland, especially if it's a Sunday night. We'll see what goes with that. There was some good news on the Dolphins coaching front. Bill Belichick has decided to go to the ACC. I still find this to be a crazy story. I didn't believe it. I still don't know if I believe it. I think I have to see him put on like North Carolina gear to really believe it. But if this is the route he goes, it seems like Don Shula's record is safe, which is kind of badass if you're a Dolphins fan. Like this old man who, and Belichick I'm referring to, not the Don. But Don Shula hated Bill Belichick, dude. Hated him. Thought he was a cheat. And I gotta think that he's thinking to himself in the football heavens. Yeah, that's right. You go to that ACC. You enjoy that. But this is crazy. I can't believe that Bill Belichick is going to be matching up against the Canes and not the Dolphins. I was tired of his ass. I was sick of his ass. It is funny though. I was laughing at like everybody who thinks like this is going to be a slam dunk. People are already predicting like North Carolina to win the ACC, which, listen, they've had more ACC success than the Canes have had. I hate this conference, but it is funny. It's just like, oh, Mike Lombardi's going there. It's like the podcast guy. No, he actually is the guy who drafted Leroy. To be fair, which is kind of funny. But no, it's a wild thing. So him doing this puts Don Shula's record kind of in a safe place for right now, which is pretty badass. Zach Sealer won Defensive Player of the Week. That was pretty badass. And also Tua let everybody know, if you try and rob him, there's armed security. And by the way, I really hate that this. People don't feel bad for celebrities and don't feel bad for athletes. There's nothing like getting I remember when I first moved to my new place down here. My mom and I, when I was a kid, was 11. We moved into our house in Deerfield Beach, and before we had even completely moved in, I had like my boxes in my room, and my house got robbed, and I was like, "This they stole my N64. I never got another video game system until I bought my son a Switch." And yeah, I remember just feeling like, this feels like violating. This feels terrible that somebody would go in there. I've had this happen with like my car and stuff. Like my car ransacked. That happened in college. That's happened times before. But your home, man, that's an awful feeling. And I was listening to Joe Burrow. I felt terrible for him. He's like, I hate the publicity or the public life that comes with his job. It is what it is. I'm not used to it. But yeah, he's like, he's very, very shook by it. And Tua was just like, yeah, I got hired security. And they are armed. And I was like, damn, Uno. I was like, hey, listen, good for him. Whatever he feels like he's got to do to keep safe. It's that's crap. Like, again, nobody feels bad for celebrities, but like, you want to be able to go do your job. Like, it is their job. They do entertain people. And when you're at work, you're like, hey, what would be nice today? Coming home and just letting my hair down and seeing my dogs and my pets or my aquarium or whatever. And it does seem like this has become a really common thing. Like, see, oh, this guy's on a road trip. This guy's here. If they don't have security, what do you do? So that was a pretty wild story. And Tua sounds like his property is not to be trifled with.